Hello, fifth graders. If you're watching this video, that means you are ready to write your introduction. So before we write our introduction, we want to make sure that we have completed our supporting paragraphs page. You should have come up with 3 headings for the 3 sections of your paper that you're going to be writing about. As I showed you, I filled mine in already. I chose Hurricane Katrina. And I decided that my headings were going to be United States disaster, where I would give all of the facts about the storm. Billion-dollar damage, where I would tell about all of the different types of damage and how much money was lost because of the storm. And then people and pets affected. And I'm going to write a whole paragraph about how many people died, how many people's homes were destroyed, how many people had to move, stuff like that. So before we start writing our introduction, we have to know what topics are we going to be talking about in our paper. So once you know that, now we're ready to get started on writing our introduction. So how to write an introduction. First, the purpose of the introduction, 1, is to get your reader interested in your topic. That's the very first thing that you want to do. Once you've got them hooked, then you're going to tell your reader what they're going to learn from your paper. And so you need to tell them and give them a little bit of information about what storm are you going to be writing about in this case, and what details about the storm are you going to be giving me. And 3, you need to state your thesis or the main idea of your paper. So let's do a practice one together where I'm going to show you the introduction that I wrote for Hurricane Katrina. So my first thing that I'm going to think about, because I want to get my reader interested in my topic, I am going to start with something that's going to interest them. This is called a hook. I want my readers to not want to stop reading my paper. So I could start with a question. Did you know? Or have you ever? I could start with an interesting or a startling fact about Hurricane Katrina, maybe how big it was, maybe how big it was in comparison to other things. I found out that it was the 3rd most deadliest storm in the United States. That would be an interesting fact that I could start with. I could cite an important source. For example, if I had the source from the National Weather Association. I don't remember if that's the specific words, but I could say, according to the National Weather Association, Hurricane Katrina, blah, 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 and give an important source, because automatically that tells your reader, ooh, this is reliable and this is important. Or you can start by giving your reader a dramatic picture in their mind. And this is the one that I am going to do for mine. So for my introduction, I said that I was going to start with a dramatic picture. So this is what I chose to start with. Winds blow, waves rage, floods rise. People flee for their lives. This was the emotion during Hurricane Katrina. Now I started with this because it was a dramatic picture that my reader could put in their minds, and they've automatically been hooked. And they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds intense. I want to keep reading. And I've also told them that we're talking about Hurricane Katrina. So I've hooked their attention. Next, I want to give them some information. I want to let them know what my whole paper is going to be about. So like I talked about over here, I'm going to give details about the storm. I'm going to talk about the damage, and I'm going to talk about people and pets affected. So I'm going to let them know that, each with their own sentence. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina was a Category 5 storm that hit Louisiana. So I'm telling them just a glimpse about what type of storm it was. And when I actually write that paragraph, I'll give them all the juicy details. The next paragraph. The state suffered billions of dollars in damage. So I'm continuing with my thought, but I'm letting them know that I'm also going to be telling you about how much damage was done. I just gave them a glimpse, and I'll tell them more in that second paragraph. Thousands of families lost their homes, loved ones, and even their pets. So I'm letting my reader know. I'm also going to be letting you know about the way that it affected families and people. And I just gave them a glimpse, and I'll give them more information in my third paragraph. So now all that's left to do is write my closing sentence, which, as we talked about, is going to be my thesis. This is going to be the main idea of my whole paper. And my main idea, and probably your main idea too, is going to be: Hurricane Katrina was an extremely deadly storm that damaged life and property. Because my whole paper is going to be about how bad this storm was and how it affected people and the city. So I've hooked my reader. I've given them 3 sentences, letting them know what each of my 3 paragraphs are going to be about. And I've stated the main idea of my whole paper, or my thesis. So this is what you guys are going to be doing on your paper today. And instead of writing it over here, you guys are going to be writing it on that first page in your Google Slides. And you'll be writing a hook, 3 sentences that tell what your paragraphs are going to be about, and your thesis. You don't have to color code it like this, but if it helps you to color code it so that you can visualize in your mind, yep, I got my hook. Yep, I have 3 sentences for each of my paragraphs, and I have my thesis, then I would encourage you to do that. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with.